The Silent Declaration. For 3 centuries, humanity had reached for the stars with open hands rather than clenched fists. The Solar Expansion Treaty of 2189 had united Earth's fractured nations under a single purpose: to spread human life beyond the cradle of Earth. Colony ships ventured into the darkness carrying not soldiers but farmers, scientists, and families. By 2437, 17 thriving colonies dotted nearby star systems. Humanity had built paradise worlds beneath alien suns, the lush forests of New Eden orbiting Alpha Centauri, the vast underground cities of Demeter beneath the radiation-battered surface of Proxima, and the floating cities of Atlantis Nu riding the eternal storms of HD 219,134. These colonies were Earth's children, and the future seemed endless. First contact came not with fanfare, but with quiet observation. The Valkyrie vessels appeared at the edge of the Sol system, their massive arcs moving with impossible grace for objects so large. The aliens appeared almost humanoid, but with translucent skin that rippled with bioluminescent patterns. Their language took only days for Earth's AI translators to decode, a mathematical elegance that spoke of an ancient civilization. For 6 months, diplomatic exchanges flowed. The Valkyrie spoke of peace, of cultural exchange, of mutual prosperity. They shared star charts spanning sectors humanity had only dreamed of reaching. They spoke of their concordat, an alliance of elder species who had achieved interstellar harmony thousands of years before humans had invented the wheel. Admiral Helena Rees never trusted them. As Earth's highest-ranking naval officer, she had spent 50 years in service to humanity's defense. "They're too perfect," she told the United Earth Council. "No misunderstandings, no cultural friction. They're telling us exactly what we want to hear." But the Council was entranced by Valkyrie promises of advanced technology and dismissed her concerns as paranoia from an aging warrior. On March 17, 2438, at precisely 400 Universal Time, every human colony beyond the solar system went silent simultaneously. No distress calls, no emergency beacons, just complete, utter silence. In the United Earth Defense Headquarters beneath the ruins of Old Geneva, alarms blared through halls that hadn't heard such warnings in decades. Admiral Rice stood before the holographic display, her weathered face illuminated by the spinning red alert symbols. 17 colonies, all communication cut at exactly the same moment, said Lieutenant Commander Jackson, his fingers dancing across the tactical interface. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. Something coordinated. "The Valkyrie," Rice said, not a question but a statement. "We have no proof." "We have no proof because they've made sure of it," she snapped. "Where are their diplomatic vessels now?" Jackson's face paled. "Gone. All 4 ships departed Earth orbit 3 hours before the blackout. They claimed they needed to realign their quantum communicators." Reyes closed her eyes briefly. 17 colonies. Over 30 million people. Gone in an instant. "Admiral," a young communications officer shouted from across the room. "We're receiving a signal from the Proxima system. It's weak, but it's one of ours." The main screen flickered to life. The image was distorted, degraded by radiation and distance, but clear enough to see a bloodied face, a young woman in the tattered remains of a colonial defense uniform. "This is Captain Maya Ortiz of the Demeter Colony Defense Force," she gasped, clutching what appeared to be a makeshift pressure bandage against her side. "They came without warning. The Valkyrie ships. They're not what they seemed. Their arcs opened to release thousands of smaller craft. They targeted communication arrays first, then defense grids." She coughed, blood spattering the camera. "They're not here for resources or territory. They call us the Infection." Their leader, something they call the Grand Illuminator, announced that humanity is a corruption that must be cleansed before we spread further. The transmission began breaking up. Ortiz leaned closer, her voice desperate. "Listen to me. Their ships have a weakness. Their shields flicker for 3 seconds when they fire their main cannons. I managed to take one down with a mining explosive before. The image distorted further. Not extinct. They're coming for Earth next, but they need to regroup. You have maybe 2 weeks before. The transmission cut to static. The room fell silent. Admiral Reyes straightened her back, the weight of decades seeming to fall away. Send drones to all colonies. I want confirmation. Her voice was calm, betraying none of the rage and grief churning within. And wake the council. It's time. Time for what, Admiral? Jackson asked. Protocol Nemesis. Jackson's eyes widened. That program was decommissioned decades ago. The Council will never. The Council will do what is necessary to ensure humanity's survival. Reyes cut him off. The Valkyrie believe they're dealing with peaceful colonists and scientists. They have no idea what humanity is capable of when pushed to the edge. The facility designated BLACKSHIELD lay beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, 3 kilometers below the surface. Its existence was known to fewer than 30 people in the entire human government. The elevator descended in silence, carrying Admiral Reyes and Secretary General Lig's son of the United Earth Council. I still believe this is premature, Lai said, adjusting his immaculate suit. The Valkyrie diplomatic course could be recalled. There might be an explanation. 17 colonies are gone, Mr. Secretary General. 30 million people dead or worse. What possible explanation would satisfy you? Reyes didn't look at him, her eyes fixed on the descending floor indicator. We decommissioned the Harbinger project for good reasons, Helena. The ethical implications alone. Ethics are a luxury for those who aren't facing extinction, she replied as the elevator doors slid open. They stepped into a vast chamber bathed in blue light. Along the walls stood 50 cylindrical tanks, each containing a suspended human form connected to a web of tubes and sensors. Dr. Elise Kagem met them at the entrance, her dark skin contrasting with her white lab coat. Admiral, Mr. Secretary General, I've prepared the revival sequence as ordered, though I must register my formal protest. Noted, Dr. Reyes said. Begin the process. You don't understand, Kagemi insisted. The Harbingers were never meant to be awakened all at once. The psychological stabilization alone requires. Doctor, Reyes cut her off. Humanity doesn't have the luxury of time. How long until they're operational? Kagem sighed. 24 hours for physiological restoration. Another 12 for combat readiness. Do it. Secretary General Lai approached one of the tanks, studying the figure suspended within. A man, physically perfect, appearing to be in his early 30s, though the file indicated he was chronologically over 60 years old. Neural augmentation ports gleamed at his temples and spine. They will remember their purpose. Lai asked quietly. The Harbingers were never allowed to forget, Dr. Kagem answered. Even in suspension, their neural pathways have been maintained, their conditioning reinforced. They remember what they are, what they were made for. And what is that, exactly? Lai turned to face the mauve. Admiral Reyes moved to stand beside him, gazing at the suspended warrior. When humanity faced the climate wars and the gene plagues, we nearly destroyed ourselves. We swore never again to create weapons we couldn't control. The Harbingers are the exception to that rule. 50 individuals genetically engineered and cybernetically enhanced to be the ultimate soldiers. Faster, stronger, and more lethal than any human in history. They are also strategists, Dr. Kagem added. Each one possesses cognitive enhancements that allow them to process battlefield information 10 times faster than an unaugmented human. They can predict enemy movements, identify weaknesses, exploit vulnerabilities, all in real time. Lai shook his head, and we just kept them, like weapons in a vault. Because someday, Reyes said quietly, we knew humanity might face an enemy we couldn't defeat by conventional means. She turned to Dr. Kagem. Show him Subject 0. Kagem hesitated, then led them deeper into the facility, past the rows of tanks to a sealed door at the far end. A biometric scanner verified all three of their identities before the heavy door slid open with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Inside, a single tank stood in the center of a reinforced chamber. The figure within was female, floating in the same suspension fluid as the others, but something about her was different. Her skin held a faint metallic sheen, and instead of mural ports, her entire skull was covered with an intricate web of silvery circuitry that disappeared beneath her skin. "This is Commander Area Chen," Dr. Kagam said, "the first and most advanced of the Harbingers, the prototype upon which all others were based, though none achieved her level of integration." "Integration with what?" Lai asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "The Quantum Tactical Core," Rise answered. "A fifth-generation combat AI fused directly with a human consciousness. Not merely an enhancement, but a true synthesis. She can interface with any technology, human or alien, by touch alone." "My God," Lai breathed. "Is she even human anymore?" "That's a question philosophers can debate after she's saved our species," Rise said flatly. She turned to Dr. Kagan. "Wake her first. I need to speak with her immediately." As they turned to leave, Lai paused for one last look at the suspended figure. "Does she know what she really is?" Dr. Kagam's expression was unreadable. Commander Chen volunteered, "Mr. Secretary General. When the project began, she was the head of Earth's Quantum Research Division. She understood better than anyone what she would become." "And what exactly is that?" Li pressed. Admiral Rise answered as the door sealed behind them. "The most dangerous human being ever created. And right now, humanity's best hope for survival." 12 hours later, Commander Area Chen stood by the viewport in the Antarctic Facilities Command Center, gazing at the southern aurora dancing across the night sky. She wore a simple black uniform without insignia, her short black hair framing a face that seemed too young for her actual age. The only hint of her true nature was the faint silver tracery visible beneath her skin at her temples and along the back of her hands. "It's beautiful," she said without turning as Admiral Rise entered. "I had forgotten." 40 years in suspension will do that," Rise replied, coming to stand beside her. "Your neural diagnostics all check out. Dr. Kagam says you're integrating faster than expected." Chen's lips curved in a slight smile. "I've had 4 decades of dreams to process what I am, Admiral. The others won't adjust so quickly. We don't have time for adjustment. The Valkyrie will reach Earth in less than 2 weeks." Chen turned to face her. "Then tell me everything. Hold nothing back." For the next hour, Rise briefed her on humanity's expansion, the first contact with the Valkyrie, and the destruction of the colonies. Chen listened without interruption, her eyes occasionally fluttering as her augmented mind processed and analyzed the information at speeds no natural human could match. "They believe they're doing the right thing," Chen said when Rise finished. "This cleansing isn't malicious in their minds, it's preservation." "Does that matter?" Rise asked sharply. "Understanding your enemy always matters," Chen replied. "The Valkyrie are part of an ancient collective that has maintained galactic stability for millennia. They've watched younger species rise and destroy themselves countless times. From their perspective, humanity's rapid expansion is a threat to that stability. So they commit genocide as a preventative measure." Chen's expression remained neutral. "They see it as pruning the garden. Cruel but necessary." She turned back to the viewport. "They've miscalculated." "How so?" "They studied our colonies. Peaceful, cooperative, resource efficient. They believe that's who we are." Chen's eyes reflected the aurora's glow, the silver circuitry beneath her skin pulsing faintly. "They never looked at our history. They don't understand what created humanity. We were forged in competition, in survival against all odds. Peace is our aspiration, not our nature." "And now?" Rise asked. "Now they've killed 30 million of us," Chen said, her voice still calm but carrying an undercurrent of something ancient and terrible. and awakened what they should have feared. She turned from the window, her posture shifting subtly into something more predatory. "Wake the others, Admiral. It's time to show the Valkyrie who we really are." When silence breaks, the Valkyrie battle group moved through the Kuiper Belt with practiced precision. 12 warships in tight formation, their organic metallic hulls pulsing with energy as they approached humanity's home system. At their center, the command vessel Eternal Clarity carried High Executor Varen Tal, chosen by the Grand Illuminator himself to oversee humanity's cleansing. Tal stood on the observation deck, his translucent skin shifting in patterns of gold and violet, colors of certainty and righteousness in Valkyrie culture. Beside him, Science Director Miller studied the sensor readings with six-fingered hands. The humans possess rudimentary defensive capabilities, Miller noted. Nothing that could threaten our fleet. Their colonies fell with minimal resistance. "Yet you seem troubled," Tal observed. Miller's skin rippled with blue uncertainty. The colonial databanks contained references to military projects that were concerning. Weapons development programs that were officially decommissioned. Officially? Yes. I found no actual confirmation of dismantlement. Tal dismissed the concern with a graceful gesture. The Concordat has cleansed 17 species before this one. All had their weapons, their desperate final measures. None survived. Humanity will join them. A footnote in our archives, a lesson for future generations of species who might consider unrestrained expansion. As the Grand Illuminator wills it, Mailer replied dutifully, but the blue patterns on their skin did not fade. The 5 ships that rose from Earth carried no markings, no flags, no identifying features. Stealth vessels, their hulls absorbing rather than reflecting light, they accelerated at forces that would have crushed unaugmented humans to paste. Inside each ship, 10 Harbingers sat in neural interface cradles, their enhanced bodies and minds directly linked to the ship's systems. Commander Aria Chen led from the point vessel, designated Nemesis. Her consciousness expanded through the quantum tactical core, simultaneously aware of her physical body and the ship as an extension of herself. The other 49 Harbingers were linked to her through a secure quantum network, 50 enhanced humans thinking and moving as one lethal entity. Valkyrie fleet detected. She communicated directly to the network. 12 vessels maintaining combat formation. They haven't spotted us yet. Their arrogance is our advantage, responded Commander Tarek Hassan from the ship designated Wrath. They expect frightened prey, not hunters. Status check, Chen ordered. One by one, the other ship commanders reported readiness. Justice, ready. Commander Daria Volkova. Vengeance, ready. Commander Marcus Okoro. Retribution, ready. Commander Hiroshi Tanaka. Execute attack pattern Omega, Chen commanded. No survivors. The 5 human vessels accelerated to relativistic speeds, utilizing classified drive technology that had been deemed too dangerous for civilian use. Their approach vectors were calculated to exploit the blind spots in Valkyrie sensor arrays, weaknesses identified by analyzing the data recovered from Captain Ortiz's final transmission. The first Valkyrie vessel, a scout ship on the fleet's perimeter, detected the approaching threat just 3 seconds before impact. It managed to raise partial shields before Commander Tanaka's retribution passed through it like a hypersonic bullet through tissue paper. The Valkyrie ship split apart, atmosphere and crew venting into space. Chaos erupted among the alien fleet as the human vessels struck with impossible speed and precision. Wrath and Justice targeted the fleet's flanks, firing experimental quantum disruptor weapons that bypassed shields by temporarily shifting the projectiles out of normal spacetime. Commander Chen directed Nemesis straight toward the command ship, Eternal Clarity. As her vessel approached, she accessed the quantum tactical core, extending her consciousness into the electromagnetic spectrum. She could feel the Valkyrie communications, their panicked transmissions flowing around her like water. Breach their command network, she ordered the AI component of her hybrid mind. 3 microseconds later, she was inside the Valkyrie systems. What she found surprised her. The Valkyrie weren't monsters. They were zealots. Their entire culture revolved around a quasi-religious belief in cosmic balance. Their concordat had appointed themselves guardians of galactic stability, eliminating any species they deemed a potential threat before they could expand beyond containment. And humanity had terrified them. Not for what humans had done, but for what the Valkyrie believed they would inevitably become. In their archives, Chen found records of dozens of species that had destroyed themselves or waged devastating interstellar wars. The Valkyrie saw humanity's rapid technological advancement and expansion as the beginning of the same pattern. "They're afraid of us," Chen communicated to the Harbinger network. "Good," Hassan responded. "They should be." Nemesis decelerated sharply, positioning itself directly in the path of eternal clarity. The massive Valkyrie command ship altered course, bringing its main cannon to bear on the much smaller human vessel. Exactly as Chen had calculated. When the Valkyrie fired their primary weapon, a stream of accelerated exotic particles, their shields flickered for precisely 3.2 seconds. In that window, Nemesis launched its payload, 20 self-guided antimatter warheads. The explosion temporarily blinded sensors across the solar system. When the radiation cleared, half the Valkyrie fleet was gone, including Eternal Clarity and High Executor Tal. The remaining ships attempted to regroup, but the Harbinger vessels moved with uncanny coordination, anticipating every maneuver. Within 22 minutes of first contact, the entire Valkyrie battle group had been destroyed. Commander Chen accessed the quantum network. All ships report. All had survived with minimal damage. The Harbingers had achieved total victory at the edge of the solar system, preventing the Valkyrie fleet from approaching Earth. But Chen remained connected to the Valkyrie network long enough to discover a terrible truth. This was merely an advance force. The main Valkyrie armada, over 300 ships, was already en route to human space, due to arrive within days. Secretary General Lai stared at the holographic display in the United Earth Council chamber, his face ashen. 300 ships. We can't possibly. We can, and we will. Admiral Reyes interrupted. She stood beside Commander Chen, who remained unnervingly still, the silver circuitry beneath her skin pulsing with calculations. The Harbingers have proven their effectiveness. Against 12 ships, Lai countered. Not 300. Numbers are irrelevant, Chen said, her voice oddly distant, as her consciousness remained partially connected to the quantum tactical core. The Valkyrie have a fatal weakness we can exploit. Which is their certainty. Chen focused her eyes on Lai with visible effort. They believe their cause is just, which makes them predictable. They follow patterns established over thousands of years of unopposed dominance. Dr. Kagam, who had joined the council meeting to report on the Harbingers' physiological status, spoke up. Commander Chen has discovered something else in the Valkyrie networks. Tell them. Chen nodded. The Valkyrie aren't acting alone. Their concordat includes 7 elder species, all committed to maintaining cosmic balance through preemptive genocide. Humanity isn't their first target, and we wouldn't be their last. Then we face not just this fleet, but an entire coalition of advanced alien civilizations. Lai sounded defeated. Yes, Chen replied, but with a crucial difference. The Valkyrie are the military arm of the Concordat. The other species provide technology, resources, and moral authority, but not combat forces. If we defeat this armada definitively, the Concordat will be defenseless for decades. Admiral Reyes leaned forward. You have a plan. It wasn't a question, but Chen nodded anyway. We can't defeat 300 ships conventionally, even with the Harbingers, but we don't need to. She gestured, and the holographic display changed to show a star chart. The Valkyrie must pass through this system to reach Earth. HD 219,134. The site of our Atlantis new colony. Which they've already destroyed, Lai said bitterly. Yes, but they don't know that we've discovered their weakness. Chen manipulated the display, zooming in on the system's largest gas giant. We position our forces here and use the planet's magnetic field to hide until they're fully committed to the gravity well. Then we strike not to destroy their ships but to cripple their FTL drives. Without faster-than-light capability, they'll be stranded light years from reinforcement. And then, Lai asked. Chen's eyes held no emotion. Then we offer them a choice: peaceful coexistence or mutual annihilation. The trap was set at HT 219,134. The 5 Harbinger ships waited in the shadow of the gas giant, their systems running silent. Commander Chen had extended her consciousness through the quantum tactical core to monitor the system's approach vectors. The Valkyrie Armada would arrive within hours. On the bridge of Nemesis, Admiral Rice stood behind Chen's neural interface cradle, watching the commander's unnaturally still form. Only the silver circuitry pulsing beneath her skin indicated she was still alive. How much of her is still human? Rice asked Dr. Kagam quietly. The doctor monitored Chen's vital signs on a portable display. More than you might think. The quantum tactical core doesn't replace her humanity. It extends it. Her emotions, memories, values, all remain intact. She's just processing them alongside exponentially more information than a normal human brain could handle. And the others, the standard harbingers, their enhancements are significant but conventional by comparison. Genetic modifications for strength and durability, neural implants for accelerated cognition and reflexes. They're still fundamentally human, just optimized for warfare. Rice watched Chen's face, peaceful despite the battle to come. Will they be able to readjust to peace if we survive this? Before Kagane could answer, Chen's eyes snapped open, silver light briefly flashing across her pupils. They're here, she announced. The Valkyrie Armada emerged from FTL travel in perfect formation, concentric spheres of warships surrounding massive carrier vessels. At their center flew the Grand Illuminator's personal vessel, World Harmony, a leviathan twice the size of any other ship in the fleet. From his sanctum aboard World Harmony, the Grand Illuminator, spiritual and military leader of the Valkyrie, communed with his fleet commanders. His skin glowed with pure white light, marking him as the chosen voice of cosmic balance. The human infestation ends today, he declared. Their resistance at the edge of their system was unexpected but ultimately futile. No trace of their civilization shall remain to contaminate the galaxy. High Priestess Zora, his chief advisor, approached with a deep bow. Great One, our scouts report no sign of human defenses in this system. The colony we cleansed here has not been reoccupied. As expected, the Grand Illuminator replied. Humans lack the resolve for prolonged conflict. They will make their final stand at their homeworld, where we shall grant them a swift end. The fleet is ready to proceed at your command. Excellent. Have the Armada. The Grand Illuminator's order was cut short by a blaring alarm. On the command deck's main display, 5 human vessels suddenly appeared, emerging from behind the gas giant at tremendous speed. Impossible, Zara whispered. Our sensors would have detected them. But the human ships were already among them, moving with impossible precision through the Valkyrie formation. They didn't fire conventional weapons, but instead released thousands of small devices that attached themselves to Valkyrie hull plating. Status report, the Grand Illuminator demanded. A frantic commander responded. Unknown devices attaching to our ships. They appear to be targeting our FTL drive systems specifically. 47% of the fleet has already been compromised. Destroy them, the Grand Illuminator ordered. The Valkyrie fleet opened fire, but the human vessels moved like ghosts through the barrage, their trajectories seemingly anticipating each attack before it was launched. Within minutes, over 80% of the Valkyrie ships had been tagged with the mysterious devices. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, 4 of the human vessels retreated to the edge of the system. Only one remained, on a direct course for World Harmony. Prepare for impact, the Grand Illuminator ordered, but the human ship decelerated, coming to a relative stop just outside weapons range. A communication request flashed on the Valkyrie command screens. "Accepted," the Grand Illuminator ordered, his skin pulsing with angry red patterns. The screen filled with the image of a human female, her skin laced with silver circuitry. When she spoke, her voice resonated with unnatural harmonics. "I am Commander Area Chen of Earth. Your fleet is now disabled. The devices attached to your ships have neutralized your FTL capability. You are stranded, 8.2 light-years from the nearest Concordat outpost." The Grand Illuminator's skin flared brighter. "You lie. No human technology cold. Your FTL drives utilize artificial quantum entanglement to create localized space-time distortions." Chen interrupted. "Our devices have disrupted the entanglement pairs. Attempt activation, and your ships will tear themselves apart." Frantic reports from across the fleet confirmed her claim. The Valkyrie Armada was indeed stranded. "What do you want, human?" the Grand Illuminator demanded. "To destroy us. To take revenge for your colonies." Chen's expression remained impassive. "If revenge were our goal, you would already be dead. Instead, I offer you a choice." She gestured, and the communication screen split to show footage from Earth's historical archives: the climate wars, the gene plagues, humanity's multiple brushes with self-destruction. "We understand your fear," Chen continued. "Humanity has stood on the precipice of self-annihilation many times. We've seen the darkness within ourselves, but that is precisely why we reject your judgment." The screen changed again, showing the recovery efforts after these disasters, the rebuilding, the cooperation, the progress. "Each time we faced extinction, we chose to evolve instead. Your Concordat claims to protect galactic stability, but you do so through genocide. You have become what you claim to prevent, destroyers of worlds." The Grand Illuminator's light dimmed slightly. "You cannot understand the burden we carry. We have witnessed countless species rise only to devastate themselves and others." "Then witness something new," Chen challenged. "A species that recognizes its own capacity for destruction and chooses a different path, not through external control but through internal growth." She leaned forward, her eyes glowing silver. "Here is my offer. Return to your Concordat. Tell them the humanity will not be cleansed. Tell them we possess technology that could destroy your entire civilization, but we choose not to use it. Tell them we offer peace instead." "And if we refuse?" the Grand Illuminator asked. Chen's expression hardened. "Then I activate the devices currently attached to your ships. They contain enough antimatter to vaporize your entire fleet. Your civilization will learn of your failure when they detect the radiation burst decades from now." Silence fell across the communication channel. Finally, the Grand Illuminator spoke again, his voice subdued. "You would spare us after what we have done, even knowing we might return with greater forces." "We spare you precisely because we know what you've done," Chen replied. "Death is easy. Living with the consequences of your actions is harder. Return to your people. Tell them what you've seen here. Tell them humanity offers a new path. Cooperation instead of conquest. Diversity instead of dominance." She paused, then added, "And know this. If you choose war again, what you've witnessed today was but a fraction of humanity's capability. We created the harbingers to protect ourselves. Imagine what else we might create if truly threatened." The implied threat hung in the silence between them. 3 days later, the Valkyrie fleet departed the HD 219,134 system under conventional drive. A journey that would take them decades to complete. The Grand Illuminator had accepted Chen's terms, not out of fear, but out of something the Valkyrie had not experienced in millennia: doubt in their holy mission. Aboard Nemesis, Commander Chen disconnected from the neural interface cradle for the first time since the battle began. Her legs buckled as she stood, and Admiral Rice caught her arm to steady her. "The Quantum Tactical Corps says they're honoring the agreement," Chen reported, her voice hoarse from disuse. Their communications indicate genuine philosophical turmoil among their leadership. Good, Rice said. Doubt is the beginning of wisdom. Chen nodded weakly. The devices will deactivate once they're beyond the system boundary. Their FTL capability will be restored. They could still return someday. But they won't, Dr. Kagum said confidently as she administered a stabilizing injection to Chen's neck. You showed them something they've never seen before. Mercy from a position of strength. You forced them to question 10,000 years of dogma. And if that's not enough, Rise asked. Chen's silver-traced hand closed around a data crystal containing the complete schematics for the Harbinger program and the quantum tactical core. Then humanity will be ready, she said simply. But I believe they understood our message. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't destruction but the choice not to destroy when you have the power to do so. She looked out the viewport toward the stars. The same stars that would witness either a new era of interspecies cooperation or the continuation of an ancient cycle of fear and violence. The Valkyrie called us an infection, Chen said quietly. Perhaps we are, but one that might finally break the Concordat cycle of preemptive genocide. Sometimes, Admiral, the most revolutionary act is simply to exist differently than those who came before. Reyes nodded slowly. And the Harbingers, what happens to you and the others now? Chen turned from the viewport, the silver circuitry beneath her skin pulsing more faintly now. That depends on what humanity decides it wants to be. Weapons have only one purpose. But people, even people like us, can choose new paths. As Nemesis turned toward Earth, carrying the architects of humanity's survival, a new message propagated across the galaxy. Not one of fear or dominance, but a simple, powerful truth. The silent would remain silent no longer, and the stars would echo with a new voice, one that chose creation over destruction, even when given every reason to do otherwise. The Valkyrie had awakened something in humanity, but not what they had expected. Not a monster to be feared, but a force that might, against all odds, finally break an ancient cycle and forge a new future among the stars.